Welcome, Amakhosi Network. Today we're talking about Amakhosi's new signings and what ratings we give them for their first game. Yes, it's the first game. They weren't really like the team wasn't really gelling as well as we would like, especially the first half. Maybe it's because it was had more new players, but at the end of the day, guys, at some point, I feel like what Chiefs fans and what a lot of us have to realize is that we are 2 weeks away from the regular season. Between now our first game against Chippa, there isn't enough time. So what we've been watching, what we watched against Young Africans, Younger, is basically what we're going to see for maybe the first month or so of Kaizer Chiefs. We just have to be honest. Though, and the thing of player people saying, hey, about Dolly by injured, hey, about Ashley by injured, hey, about Ranga by injured. I'll just want to say this, guys. Guys, injured players, number one. Injured players shouldn't influence playing style. That's one thing I'll tell you now. Playing style should be automatic, meaning what we see them doing, this thing of about the clock, Dove only wanting to kick over the midfield, it should not happen in the regular season. And the fact that they are doing it now, for me, is already a problem. Msimango, the one thing I like about him is that he didn't do that. But anyway, let's get to player ratings. Msimango, I gave him a 6. Number one, this whole thing of kicking from the back and trying to do long balls, he didn't do. He just played to the people. If it wasn't happening, he played back or he found the midfielder. Happy with him. In terms of young Africans attacking him, they didn't really attack him that much. The only problem for Msimango is that he was playing with Ukwinika on the right. Ukwinika, they were finishing him there on the right, but he still didn't have a bad game. But it just felt like the players on the right, Uboma Kurubela and them, they were just having a fun time with Kwinika. So it kind of made Mango have to cover Kwinika a lot. But other than that, Mango had an okay game, not much defensive issues. He did have some defensive headers and stuff, but it wasn't like a hectic game. But I like his calmness. One thing I like. Ditlokwe. Ditloko also had a solid game. Pace was killing him at some point when he had to cover for Dove because Dove and him are not fast. So I think the right side will have a problem with pace if pacey players end up on the right. But Ditlokwe doesn't lunge, which is one thing I like about him. He times his tackles and stuff like that. So Ditlokwe had a good game. So if I didn't mention it before, I said Msimango, I'll give him a 6. With Ditlokwe, I will give him a 5.5. The reason why I'm giving Ditlokwe a 5.5 is that he kept kicking the ball up, like from the back. He kept doing that thing where he gets the ball. If nothing is happening, he's like, I'm gonna kick it to the strikers. And he lost too much possession of the ball. And what happens is that when he lost possession, the team came right back and I was attacking him. And that's the issue with long balls. If your long ball is not like changing play or something like that, and it's just going between two defenders who are taller than our attackers, then it's going to end up coming back to that same defender who kicked it. So the long balls must cut out. Castillo, I gave 5.5. Too much possession loss, but he's very strong. That's one thing I like about him. He's very strong, but it's his first game, so I can't really blame him. First game playing in South Africa, well, with South African players and stuff like that, so can't fault him too much. But possession, defensive midfielder should not lose possession. I mean, Usitebe was played way better than Castillo in terms of possession. Stebe barely lost possession, barely, and his positioning was good. So maybe with Castillo at the time. And this is what I'll say again: Castillo is not a natural defensive midfielder. Castillo is a makeshift defensive midfielder, which is the problem. But like Njabulo Blom, like Sitebe, he can always be converted. The issue is that I don't know if he will convert it was early enough for us to like start winning games. So that's why I still think if we could, it would have been best for us to get another defensive midfielder. But Chiefs does not really do this whole thing of signing players late. So I think our transfer season for Kaizer Chiefs seems to be over unless there's a proper real free agent. But anyway, Castillo 5.5. Potsani 5. Botsani was bad. Botsani's runs weren't looking good. Botsani kept losing. He was just not combining. I don't know because I think the issue. I don't know if this is the issue, but I think the issue might be Guti. Botsani doesn't like playing on the right because I think at Royal AM he was more playing on the left, similar to how Dolly plays and stuff like that, or coming through more from the middle. But the whole him playing on the right, he didn't work out. He lost possession, or he just wasn't impactful. He just wasn't impacting. The right was dead basically because even Saile was clogging the lanes. So there's many factors, but he just wasn't great. And then let's go to so Potsani 5. Tanzania 5. He was off. But at the same time, I feel for him because he was on the field with players like Saile. A player like Saile is a player that Tanzania can't really play with. I'll say can't play with because Tanzania likes playing off players, and it feels like if he was in the game when Mdu and Nkosimpilo Ngobo played, he was going to play better because that combination short 1-2s and stuff like that is what he wants. So he was trying here and there with Modi and Potsani, but it just wasn't happening. But that's maybe because they are still new; they haven't figured each other out. So we'll say that, but. Tanzania, not a good game, but yeah, there's not really much we can say. It just wasn't a good game. He just didn't look up to speed. So it wasn't his best game. So I'll give him a 5. Modi is the best player out of all the new players we had. He was the best player on the pitch, and Modi individual brilliance was everything. Modi is going to create goals this season. If Modi doesn't end the season with at least nothing less than eight assists this season, I'll be very surprised because Modi is going to be one of the assist kings on the left. Because and the thing I wonder is, will Modi make Dolisic bench? That is a big thing we have to ask ourselves. Will Modi make Dolly sit bench? Because Modi was doing things that Dolly has not been doing. He was beating the last man, putting in those deadly crosses, or playing the right 1-2s, or taking on a play. Modi was the one. Modi was the one. So the thing is that I think Modi might be tried at right wing as well. The reason I say this is because when you think about our right wing, there isn't really someone who's making that position there because Saile is the one who's on the right. So it can maybe be Mdu, but Mdu doesn't like playing from the right. He prefers the left. So that right forward position is up for grabs. So it's up to who wants to play. But anyway, guys, tell me what you guys think. I mean, I'm not happy with the game, but I don't want to fault the new players, but I will fault the coaches. So at this point, I'm not faulting players. I am faulting coaches. And so that's why I'll also give Molife Ntsigi, Avazwani, and Dylan Shepherd, I'll give them a rating of 3. The reason why I say that, we cannot be doing helicopter football. It's something, if we our playing style is helicopter football, then I'm very worried because Dove and Ditlokwe were just kicking in J. Kwinika, same story, kicking. It's only Msimango who was not kicking. So I don't know. Dove surprised me because Dove knows the whole kicking thing was not Arthur Zwane's game in the beginning of the season. So why he's doing it now? Maybe it's Molife Ntseki's game. But hey, I'm praying it's not. This whole thing of kicking. And our midfield needs to function. Hey, our midfield is killing us because Castillo and Matt can't play together, and this is my opinion. My opinion is Castillo and Matt can't play together. They lack creativity. So you rather play Sitebe and Castillo. I think the game has more fluidity, and Sitebe knows how to mark. And not that Matt doesn't, but hey, them together, Matt and Castillo, it didn't look right. They just weren't combining well. But yeah, guys, tell me what you think. And it's good to see Gune back in. Like, he seems to be in shape. I like what I saw of Gune. Like, his body, he looks like he's in shape. So let's see what the season brings. Amakhosi for life.